Let's start with Zechariah part 2, and we are finding absolutely nothing here. So, what happened to the text? Oh, didn't click up. Okay. We left off here, and like I was saying, there is nothing here to show you from last time because there is nothing that actually fits together. Now, here we've got some text that we don't really have a starting of who said this except for way back in the beginning, a date and time when this happened. So let's see what this one is saying. Then I lifted up my eyes and I looked and saw a flying scroll. He said, what do you see? Now we don't know quite who is he, okay? It could be the angel that we were talking about that's by him. Anyways, and he gives the dimensions of the scroll. Then he said this is the curse that goes throughout the whole face of the world, whole land. Funny how they use the word earth, and then now all of a sudden it's a whole land. Everyone who steals would be purged away according to what is written on one side. Never happened. Never happened. So somebody's claiming words from our creator that never happened. So we know this is just false writing. Okay, well, there goes one light. And boy, that was the one I just replaced a couple of videos ago. So I'm hoping the light will hang in there with me. So we have nothing there. And the angel went out. I guess I don't know what that means, went out. And then he said, lift up your eyes now and see what is going forth, or coming forth. Not going forth would be coming forth. If he's going to look up, he's going to see it arrive to him. And he said, what is it? And he said, it is an ephah. Now, let's look up the word ephah to see what an ephah is. And I will open up this browser here, and I will open up a new page, and I'll put ephah Bible, and we get one. No, let's see, ephah divine, the word meaning a measure of grain. Okay, and it's Egyptian. Okay. And it looks like it's actually a pot. Okay, so now that we know it's a pot, let's see here. And going forth again. Now what does this mean, going forth again? I didn't see it come. It was just coming. It's not going forth. So the words aren't making any sense. And he said, this is the appearance in all the land. What is the appearance? A pot? And this woman is sitting inside the ephah. Now, here somebody tried to add the text. When you have quotation marks, it means they found it in other text and they inserted it from another place, but it wasn't originally in the text of the King James. 1611, and let's see, there was a woman sitting inside of it, and he said, this is wickedness, and he threw her down, I don't know, into the middle of the pot. First of all, she was sitting inside the ephah, then he threw her down in the middle of the pot. Kind of confusing, not very well written, is it? I lifted up and saw two women coming out. Okay, now these were coming out to where it really wasn't out. It was they were coming to what? The ephah, and they had wings like the wings of a stork. Okay, so they really aren't women if they have wings. Okay, and they lifted up the ephod between the earth and the heavens. Now the thing here is do you know what the heavens are? One, the heaven is where the birds fly, and then the stars motion creates the mount for our Creator. That's called Mount Zion. And the far north, which means the North Star, is the peak of the Mount Zion. That is the second heaven. So they lifted up the ephod between the earth and the heavens. So it just didn't pick her up into he just picked her up into the heavens, not between the heavens. Okay? Because where are they at if they don't if you have the earth and then you know what the heavens are? Where is this taking place? Even in a vision, you wouldn't have something like that, I don't believe. It's hard to even imagine what's going on here unless it's being said in the stupid way that it's being said. Taking the ephod, and they're going to build a temple for her. Now, a temple is where you put an idol, okay, or a false god image in the land of Shinar. Now, Shinar is Egypt, the Great Pyramid before the Great Flood. So now they actually understood where this Shinar land is at. And she's going to be made a temple in Egypt. And when it was prepared for her, they set her on her own pedestal. See, this is the temple. They're putting her on a pedestal. Now, this is when you hear of, they were saying high places in Judah, but what we found out is that they were pillars, or these pillars were pedestals, and they put her image on the top. So here, this is our Creator is actually saying that it's okay and it's going to be set up for her this way. Now, that's why he sent them away, because they treated her as a god, or goddess. So here, the angel is helping them out to set up this place for her in Shinar and make it on her own pedestal, setting up a deity on a pillar. Okay. Now he lifts up his eyes and he sees 4 chariots coming, and between 2 mountains, and the mountains were bronze mountains. Okay. In the first chariot were red horses, second black, third white, fourth were drappling horses, although we don't need to have strong here. So, and then he said to the angel who was speaking to me, "What are these, my Lord?" So again, the word Lord is not a correct word. It's just that when I'm trying to think, when I've been going through these, what would you use instead of Lord? Because it's not our Creator Lord. And a Lord is someone over, he has a very large place. He has what I consider a home that has many places inside. It's very large, and he has many slaves or servants. And not slaves. Hebrews did not have slaves. He had many servants, and he was like a lord, or they consider him, because he provided for them. The angel is not the title Lord, because he's not providing for him in the way that the title Lord is referred to for our Creator, or by a male of wealth that has many servants. So can't say master neither. So it would be curious to find out what actually truthful word you could use here. And then the angel answered, "They're the 4 spirits of heaven." Now these would be the wind. The spirits is defined as a breath, wind, then it can be considered as a soul, or a soul of a being, such as our Creator speaking from the fire would be a spirit. The spirit of our Creator spake from the bush with fire. So these are considered four winds, okay? So they're going back and forth to the North Country, and White going after them. The Repling one, and what they were doing was they were patrolling the Earth, okay? These winds were patrolling the Earth. And then all of a sudden it says that, then he cried out, saying, see, those going into the land of the north have appeased my wrath in the land of the north. Now we have who cried out has to be our Creator, because it's about my wrath in the land of the north. He doesn't need the land or the wind to do anything, okay? But that's the end of it. He's appeased the wrath in the north. There's nothing here, folks. There is nothing here for a prophecy. Here we're going to go through and take the exiles. Now they're already there in Jerusalem, because we know that it's being defined as words to the high priest at that time, and stuff like that, and where they have arrived from see here they're saying that go on the same day and enter the house for Josiah, and when they have arrived from Babylon. Well, they didn't really have a house there. They had to make their own homes and stuff. So if they so this means there had to be some time that people have built already. So like I've been saying, they've been established there. Take silver and gold and make a crown and set it on his head. The son of this guy here, the high priest. And say to him, who is my branch, and he will branch out from where he is, and he will build the temple for YHVH. Now, we know that a temple is a pagan place. Building the house for our Creator, like I said in the last video, that they only burnt down, and the only wood that would have been there would have been the cabinets in the first room when you get there, the front doors, and the wall that was between the two, and then the rafters and stuff that held up the roofing. So this was what was burnt, or what was damaged when they supposedly destroyed the place. So like the text above, they were saying it had to be the foundation. He was going to lay the foundation. Well, they didn't need to lay the foundation. Granite blocks, you got to understand how big they are. I've done a study on it, and they're actually was it 18 inches on width-wise, and they're 18 inches height-wise, and then these can be 18 inches, and then they're, I think, 30 inches and something like 40 inches. So these are some big granite blocks that you wouldn't be moving around. And he's gonna build the temple. Well, it's not a temple, it's a house, but the only thing is, it's already built. They just need to do the wood structures and then end up putting the doors back on. And then he's going to sit and rule on his throne, and he will be a priest on his throne. Now, the thing here is our Creator never set it up that way. We know that they were still controlled by Babylon, Babylon, because they were sending messages back to Babylon about when I can't remember which prophet that we went through that had that description of that I had to tell you the story that there were the people that were established were on the east side of the Jordan River, and when they heard that they were building, they came over and told them to stop, because they were the governors of the area, and then they sent a message up to the king Cyrus at the time, and then he sent a message back telling them to stop building. So no time at all was there a throne set up for the priest to have control of anything. Okay, so all this has to be a lie too. Okay, there's nothing here that actually is true either. So now we got that out of the way. We're going to 7. Now we got in the 4th year of this king here. Okay. On the 4th of the 9th month. Now Bethel sent, now Bethel is a city, okay? See, it says a town of Bethel had sent. And actually, these guys here would have been the ones I was just telling you that would have been on the other side of the Jordan River. They weren't there because Bethel to Jerusalem was maybe 5 miles away, okay? 10 miles away, something like that. So they would have known if something was going on. And it was to speak to the priest who belonged to the house for our Creator. Well, now they have the right word here as house. And the prophet, and to the prophet saying, I will weep in the 5th month as I have done these many years. Well, this makes no sense. There's no story of saying this. And prophets don't go around talking like this, okay? So this is the prophecy. And say to the prophet saying, I weep as I have done these many years. What kind of prophecy is that? I mean, idiots. Or do you believe these? I mean, okay, now we got, when you fast and mourn on these months, these 70 years was actually for me that you fasted. Now this is our Creator asking them if they fasted for him. That makes absolutely no sense. Why would you be fasting for our Creator? Our Creator doesn't, your fasting does not do anything for our Creator. So, and then when you did eat and drink, did you eat for yourself and you did not drink for yourselves? So, okay. So that's the end of that prophecy. Or, well, wait a second. Are the prophecies from YHVH proclaimed by prophets? Well, yeah. When Jerusalem was inhabited and prospered with its many cities, and Nineveh was in the foothills, were inhabited. Now, here, the thing here is Nineveh. Let me see if I have a map to at least. Let's see if this one, supposedly it's down and through here, okay? This is where I believe the text describes, see where all the hill countries here and then how it's flat and plain down here and how it's hilly here. So when you read the text and you see it sitting here at the foothills were inhabited, okay, it was back in that area. Okay, but the only thing is that was pagan land back down in there. So that's the problem with this. Why were we discussing a pagan land when this was prosperous for our Creator? Then a prophecy when it came to him. So where's the prophecy here? Where is the prophecy above? There is no prophecy. This is all just crap too. So, I'm going to go through here real quick now because you get the idea that there are no prophecies. I'm going to go look for the prophecies. And let's see if the prophecy dispense justice and rule, orphan strange, hearts against one another, refuse, pay attention, stubborn shoulder. And they made their ears like flint. So they did not hear the law. You don't need to hear the law. The laws are already set. A prophet. So they could not hear the law, and the prophecy from YHVH as sent by his Spirit. No, our Creator spake to them. That's what they'd come down and announce. That's what Zechariah is saying. That this prophecy is coming through him, that he's heard our Creator's voice, and sometimes he's getting an angel to tell him what our Creator is saying to him. They would not listen, and our Creator scattered them like a windstorm. No, he came down and killed them, wiped them out. That was what we know that they was talking about before. They didn't need it as a wind. We know it was, he knew who was being sent. He told them about Assyria, and then he told them about Babylon. In fact, one of the last ones he mentioned, it was Nebuchadnezzar coming down. And for they made it a pleasant land desolate. Okay. Now where this land is desolate behind them, so that no one went back and forth. For they made the pleasant land desolate. Okay. They didn't. Our Creator did. So that's an idiot. There's no prophecy here. And here we're in chapter 8. Here's a prophecy, though, so it says. I'm exceedingly jealous for Zion, which is the mountain or the hilltop place where Jerusalem was built. Sometimes they want to refer to it as Zion. Sometimes they refer to Jerusalem as Zion. But actually the truth is Mount Zion is the second heaven, the mountain for our Creator. And why is it a mountain for our Creator? Because above the North Star is where our Creator is at in heaven. Okay. You can only learn that from one Bible, the New American Standard Bible. I've got a video in the description below that tells you and explains that. Then it talks about our Creator will return to Zion and dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. Well, he never dwelt in the midst of Jerusalem ever before. It was that the house for our Creator was set there, and over the years they made a city next to it. Okay. When it was a tent, they had a city called Shiloh that was near there. Later they built the city right next to his house, so it wouldn't have been in the midst when it's off to the side. And he would have never been in the in Jerusalem at all. The house will then Jerusalem will be called the city of truth, and a mountain. There is no mountain in Jerusalem. Okay, just get over it. Now, what is? It'll be called a city of truth. Now, would you send a prophet just to say that in less than what 15 words or 30 words maybe? No. Now all of a sudden there's going to be old men and old women. They're all going to be sitting in the streets of Jerusalem, and they're going to have staffs in their hand because their age, which means they need help walking because they're elderly. Will be filled with the city of boys and girls. And is it too difficult in the sight of of this people? Or is it too difficult in this sight to make that happen? And that's the prophecy. Okay. Again, the prophecy is people are going to be old in the city. That isn't what we know about prophecies. Prophecies are our Creator telling them directly that they're wrong, return to me, or this is going to happen, this is part of my promise. This is what prophecy is. It's not old men are going to be being in the cities when it's been rebuilt, when it's already being rebuilt already, and you've seen how many ridiculous things that's already been said above. And there'll be truth and righteousness. Okay, then our Creator goes on and says, let your hands be strong, listen to those days. These words are from the mouth of prophets. So there's going to be many prophets, but there never were. In the days of the foundation of the house was laid to the end of the temple being built. Well, use a house here, it's a house here. So even those that are editing the Bible today are too stupid to know this. So they're using the head in here as a temple. Okay, so I know the corruption on what they're putting in, because when you're meditating, you see this so-called goddess. This is the temple that they're talking about, that you see her at. Example, you study, what is it, Greek mythology, or Athena came from the forehead of Zeus. So here again, the representation of of where you would see the so-called female goddesses in when you're meditating. And all of a sudden there was no wage for man or wage for animals, so they were using at that day animals, and you could pay them to bring your animal over to do work, or really your ox or horses probably to plow. Went out and came in, and was no peace because of his enemies. Now here there was no peace at all, and yet there was peace in Jerusalem for many years. Like I'm thinking there was like 800 years that it was actually around, that from the promised land until they were removed by him. And I set all men against another. Well, actually, he proclaimed that they would do that on their own, if you know the other prophecies. So this is not true. I will not treat the remnant of this people as in former days. Well, it's the people that turned away from him that's he sent away, had killed. So this is not really making any sense. I mean, he can't remember what he'd done. Oh, but the vines and the fruit, the grapes that are on they're all going to yield their produce, because from heavens they're going to be given dew, and yet it needs more than dew; it needs rain. And then all these things, these people are going to inherit all these things. So what are they inheriting? I mean, above we've got a righteous city, and they're dwelling under their each under their vine, celebrating old men in the city. There's no real death except for old age. That's what they're going to inherit, and yet we know that that isn't true. I mean, we had the Romans in power after Babylon, or after, I think it was Persia ruled for a few years, and then Rome took over. So there was never a time for this that happened. Oh, but our Creator is going to save them. But Israel was never really established. I propose to do you no harm when your fathers provoke me to wrath. You're going to do good to Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. Do not fear these things. You should speak truth to one another. I guess you would learn that if you're righteous anyway. Okay. And let none of you devise evil things in your heart. Well, there's no prophecy there. I don't see the prophecy, because now we've got another prophecy, okay, about fasting on the 4th, the 5th, the 7th, and the 10th. Did you know you're supposed to fast on all those days? I don't think so. And then you're going to have cheerful feasts. Well, feasts, I would like to find out what the feasts are about here, because feasts, what are they doing? Why are the people celebrating? What is the feast about that they've got these feasts? Okay. Okay, and then many people are going to come from all over, and they're going to entreat the favor of YHVH. Now, how do you go, a foreigner, come in and entreat a favor from our Creator, and to seek our Creator? And I will also go, so many people, mighty nation, come to seek YHVH, but we just had that said here and here, favor and seek, and now it's being redone. Now they're coming from all over to do this. But we don't understand why there was no feast, or why they were fasting. And then they're all going to grasp the garment of the Jew. Now, a Jew is one who doesn't believe our Creator. So this is really funny to see this word here. And say, let us go up to her, that Creator is with you. Right. Jews don't even believe in a Creator. I mean, you go look at their text now. What do they got? The tumult? And in there, they got so many times referring to the female goddess that isn't funny. So we didn't get a real prophecy there. And now we've got 9. Let's see. Now we've got the pagan places he's worrying about. Again, more pagan places our Creator is worried about. Because he's going to be against the land. And these no longer really... The land of this guy here, I don't know if this was a king or what. The land of this guy here, against the land of who? It's got to be a king if it's land of. And it wouldn't be a land, it would be the kingdom of. And with Damascus as its resting place. So now we got something about there's a kingdom, this is the king, and Damascus is its resting place. Big deal. They thought they were very wise. Tyre built itself a fortress, piled up silver like dust and gold, and yet they couldn't have. They're being ruled by someone else. I mean, Rome is there, Persia is there, Syria is there, or was part of Babylon, but a different king came in power. So this here is just... What are you talking about? Our Creator doesn't know what he's saying. He's going to cast her wealth into the sea, and she'll be consumed with fire. Now, excuse me, I don't know about that either. In these places, I've showed you before that these are cities for Philistines that were ran out hundreds of years ago. And they're talking about, let's see, this place will be afraid, wither in great pain, and be confounded. What the hell? Okay. King will perish from Gaza. There was never a king set up in Gaza. Eashoo will not be inhabited, although up here they'll see it and be afraid. And then there's a mongrel race that will dwell in Ashdod. I don't think so. Any of these. I don't see any of this. The clan of Judah, like Jebusites. That's funny because Jebusites are supposed to be people from Jerusalem at the time when your Bible will say that they were there when they went in to conquer the promised land. Yet Jerusalem wasn't set up until David bought the hill, brought the tent over, and then, brought the tent to set up the house for the tent to be closer. And our Creator stopped there, and David built or Solomon built the house for our Creator, and then Jerusalem was built. But they were saying Jerusalem was built at the time that and these people are called Jebusites, and they were they were there at the promised land, and Jerusalem was there. A lot of stuff doesn't make sense when you actually know the truth of what's going on, and this is just some of it here. And I'm just going to go through here. And he is just and endowed with salvation, humble and mounted on a donkey, or even a colt or a foal donkey. Let's see. Your king is coming to you. Okay, but he doesn't say why. Doesn't say why or what's going on here. Who passes and no oppressor will pass over them anymore. Well, the oppressors were the Romans. So all that's not true. Here we got Ephraim again that was absolutely destroyed. Now they're going to have chariots that he's going to cut off horses from, and the horse from Jerusalem, and the horse from Jerusalem. Only one horse? Only one horse. Gonna cut them off. The bow of war, or the bow of war will be cut off. And he will speak. Oh, this is about Jesus here. And I will cut off him from the bow should be cut off. Peace. And his dominion will be from sea to sea. Is our creator lion here? To the ends of the earth. Because of the blood of my covenant with you, I have set your prisoners free from the waterless pit. I mean, come on, let's be reasonable, and let's just say that I'm just gonna, because I'm gonna try to wrap this up right now, because I don't see any text here. Here they're going to devour and trample on the slinging of the stones. They will drink and boasters of wine, and they will be filled with, like, while they put sacrificial basin and drenched to the corner of the altar. Actually, there was many altars. There's just not one. There's actually 13. And our Creator is going to save them in that day as a flock for his people. Stones for a crown sparkling in his right hand. Well, the grain is going to make their young men flourish. New wine for all the virgins. And you can ask for rain from YHVH at time for rain, and he'll make the storm clouds appear. I don't see any of this being true. Okay. I'm hoping you'll be able to look at the text and understand that none of this is actually true. And he's going to bring them back. They're already back. Okay. Have they returned there in the time of the text? 2,000 years later, they start coming back, but it was pretty well desolate land for a long time. So and Ephraim all of a sudden is going to be like a mighty man. I guess their clan from Joseph got a little bit bigger, didn't it, when it got there? He's going to whistle to them. They're going to gather them, for he's redeemed them. They remember me in far countries. Sorry, but they're kingdoms, and they're already back. I will gather them from Syria. But above, it's already there. I mean, this text goes back and forth, and now open the doors from Lebanon. I mean, Lebanon does not exist. If they're conquered, they're conquered. I mean, you don't hear anyway. Now it's the cedars are falling. Now all of a sudden we're worried about trees. These guys had never existed. They were out since Moses come through and took over Edom and Amorites, Ammons and Moab. But all of a sudden they re-exist. Their own herders will not have pity on them. I will no longer have pity on them, or the inhabitants of the land. And then I will cause men to fall, each another by another's power, into the power of his king. Now strike the land and deliver their power. He's going to strike the land. I don't see any of this as true. This is not a prophecy being said here again. And then that this was a prophecy, that when all that happened. Said to them, good in your sight, give me my wages. Who was this? I said to them, if it is good in your sight. What's being good in the sight for what? How does he get wages for what? The story doesn't tell us anything. Then he's going to say, throw it to the potter. Well, actually, it was the potter's field that was actually named. The potter's field ended up becoming a graveyard at the time for Jesus, and that was right outside as you enter into Jerusalem. They were throwing them down this like side of the valley to just say this is where we're throwing out our trash. These pots that didn't make it after they're making them, they just threw them there, and then later that became a graveyard, and Jesus was crucified by this graveyard. And they threw them to the potter, and then it says into the house of our creator. Never happened. So all this here is just more lies. Our creator is saying that he said them and told this false prophet to come along and tell him false things. So these aren't prophecies, okay? Oh yes, they don't know who stretched out the heavens and the foundation and formed the breath of man within them. Yet we know the story. That's how our creator made him a living being. He breathed into them breath for them to be able to speak. Then there's going to be a siege against Jerusalem, and there's going to be like a heavy stone, and everybody that lifts it up is going to be severely injured. He's going to strike every horse with bewilderment and the rider with madness. And the clans of Judah, saying in their hearts a strong support for us in through our YB, our creator. No, and now we got a fire pot and a piece of wood, flaming torches, and consume them. Nope, never happened. And now they're going to have the glory of the house of David, but the house of David is actually descendants from David as being kings, and that's never happened. Will be like like David's time, and the house for our creator will be like our creator. That's interesting. The house of David will be like our creator, like the angels before him. Descendants from David are going to be like that. Right now, I'm just going to keep sliding through here and just say that there's going to be a mourning for whatever. This is very interesting because this is a man's name, I believe, or so this is going to be like they named like a valley or something, but the land is all going to mourn, and then each of the families are going to mourn. But the house of Nathan, he's a prophet at David's time. Prophets didn't have wives. But all these, no. But at that day, all of the sins for impurity are going to be gone. On that day, a fountain will be opened for the house for David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for impurity. I don't understand that. Whatever this. The foundation will be open. It's not foundation. Fountain will be open. Okay, so I don't know what's going to open, where it's going to open. Doesn't say. And I will remove the prophets and the unclean spirits of the land. Unclean spirits. Did you know there's clean spirits and unclean spirits? Which means these are devils, okay? They're demons, okay? So, but you need two words to tell you. First, it has to be an unclean. They could just use the word devil here, or demon. And now they're going to be telling their sons who are prophesying these things that you're preaching falseness. Like, how would they know? How would they know? Let's see. All this is nothing but junk. Nothing is junk. This is, read that. You tell me about that. this is, and they'll call on him and they'll answer him. They'll say, YHVH'S our creator. They're going to come and take spoil from you, and then they're going to divide it and gather nations for battle. Absolutely zero. I don't see anything here of what's actually a prophecy. We know that what you're seeing here is I've divided the text up into groupings of the words. So I'm hoping you realize that, like when you see this doesn't belong to this doesn't belong to this. Even if you start taking all these out and to look for a prophecy, there's not enough text that says what it is. I mean, these are so short and so nothing. There's nothing being said here. So I'm just gonna just say, hey, open up the text, go take a look at this, but this is all just junk. There is just junk, and this is the end of it. And even at the end, we've got Canaanites living. They haven't been there since the promised land was given by Joshua. We still have Canaanites living at, what is it, 1,000 years later. I tell you, it's all bullshit. There you have. We have Zechariah, whatever, is a completely false, made up of nothing. It's completely nothing. It's absolutely just, oh, and you wonder why this text is in the Bible. I mean, they don't care what the actually text is here to be said, what is truthful or not truthful. They just don't care. They're putting in words, all encrypted. All this stuff was encrypted for them. Now, I was laughing at it because I know what they're trying to say, or I know what they are saying, but I'm not going to go through and explain all that to you. The problem is it'd take a long time to explain, and I'm not going to do that. But I will put up a video telling you how to have sex with the so-called female goddess at a certain time. Actually, I have it already I already have it on YouTube, but I just haven't made it public. It depends how many people start coming, and when they start coming, then I'll probably put it up there. But right now, everything in this is absolutely nothing. This is all just junk, and actually it's pretty stupid, really, when you read it. I mean, when you I can't even describe it anymore. I'm done. Gone. I gotta fix my light again. Boy, they're getting expensive.